Hi all, in this session we are going to learn about Azure Container Instance. Here we can learn what is Azure Container Instance, how to create it, where we are going to use it, everything we are going to discuss in detail, and I am going to show it to you in a practical manner as well. Let us quickly understand what do we mean by Azure Container Instance. Here the Azure Container Instance offers the fastest and simplest way to run a container in Azure without having virtual machine. Means without the provision of virtual machine we can be able to create and run the container with the help of ACA service. We can simply say that ACA is the service offered by the Microsoft Azure. Without having the underlying infrastructure we can create the container. The underlying infrastructure will be taken care by the Microsoft Azure. Means it is just like a PaaS service. Generally what we will do if we want to create any container, I'm going to show to the process guys. So here I'm going to make some kind of screen marker in order to make you better understanding. Okay, I'm going to take this marker. Simply suppose what is the prerequisite? Initially you need to have a server. On top of the server you are going to install operating system. On top of the operating system what you will install? Docker engine. On top of the Docker engine what you will create? Containers C1, C2, C3. On top of containers what you will run? Services. Whatever the services you want you are going to run those services on top of the container. This is the prerequisites which we are going to follow whenever we want to create any kind of container. But here the requirement is different. So I just do not want to create any kind of underlying infrastructure, that is nothing but a VM. Without creating VM, if I want to create the container, the simplest way is by using the Azure Container Instance. Fine. This is about the Azure Container Instance. Let us understand in detail about the further things like container group. Here container group in the name itself suggests it is a group of containers where we can host multiple applications in it. Multiple applications, or we can say multiple services on it. Just like a VM, we are going to open the ports for the containers as well. As we had already discussed in the last session, what is the basic difference between the virtual machine and the Docker container? The Docker container is the far most advanced than the virtual machine. It is a alternate to the VM. Docker container is a alternate to the VM. If any application which has been hosted on top of the virtual machine, how we are going to open the ports for that VM? In the similar way, whenever we host application on top of the Docker container as well, we are going to open the ports like 80 for HTTP, 443 for HTTPS, like we have some other ports are there. Based on the requirement, we are going to open those ports as well in order to make the communication. Generally, why we are going to open the HTTP and HTTPS? In order to make the end users can be able to access my application, because of if I hosted my application somewhere, the end user from anywhere can be able to access my application through which ports? HTTP or HTTPS. I am going to make my application will be available to the end users by using these two ports. Means I am going to assign one public IP. So with the help of the internet, the end users can be able to access my application which has been hosted over the containers. If you are hosted on top of VMs, they are going to access your application through VMs. If you are hosting your application on top of containers, the end users can be able to access your web application over containers. What are the benefits if I am using the Azure Container Instance? Let us discuss in detail. It provides fast startup times. As you know, containers are not taking too much time in order to start it, because of as it didn't hold the OS files, it is very negligible in size. So because of that feature, whenever you start the container, it is going to immediately able to run your services as well. And it provides public IP and DNS names, just like how we are going to configure or how we allocate public IP and configure the DNS names for the VM. In the similar way, we can be able to assign the public IP to container and we can be able to configure the DNS names as well. Custom sizes. Based on the requirement, we can be able to choose the Azure Container Instance. It is going to provide such kind of compatibilities. And we can host both Linux and Windows containers. We can get persistent. What do you mean by persistent? Guys, persistence means even though if you reboot your machine or the container, the data is not supposed to lose. If it is a persistent kind of storage. Suppose if it is a non-persistent means whenever you reboot your VM or container, then you are going to lose your data. That will be called as a non-persistent data. Here the Azure Container Instance is going to provide persistent of storage. Means even though if you reboot your container, you are not going to lose your data. Whatever the data you have, you will get come back when the container reboot happen. And it even allows us virtual network deployment. These are all the benefits which we get by using the Azure Container Instance. And let us understand some kind of scenarios. So here there are a lot of scenarios are there. So I am going to show to you some kind of two scenarios in this session, 2 or 3 scenarios. So how we are going to create the Azure Container Instance, at the same time how we are going to deploy the custom image on top of the Azure Container Instance. These all things we are going to show in the practical manner. So quickly I am going to log into the Azure portal. Let me check whether I have any resource groups or not, and I am going to check whether any services are running inside of my portal account. Right now there are no resource groups are there. Means if there is no resource group means there are no services, because of if I want to create anything, what is the first and foremost thing which I need to create? The resource group. Here the resource group is not there, means I didn't have any kind of resources inside of my account. Okay, fine. So let us refer the material. Here one more thing guys, if you are going to do the practicals by using your Azure free trial subscription, maybe you will get some kind of errors because of some libraries like DLLs are not supported for the free trial subscription. Suppose we recommend, if you are going to do the practicals for the Docker, please make sure you have the paid subscription. That will reduce the errors while you performing the lab activity. Okay, let me perform the demo one. The first demo is I am going to create the Docker instance container from the CLI. Means by using the command line interface, I am going to create the Docker instance container, and at the same time I am going to host or deploy one image on top of the Azure Container Instance by using CLI only. So let us, first of all, what is the prerequisite? The prerequisite is I need to create the resource group. At the same time, where I am going to execute the commands, I need some kind of command line interface. Where it is? Here I am going to open the Cloud Shell. So here generally what are the commands which we have, we are going to execute in the bash script only for the containers. Here I am not going to use the PowerShell. Here I am going to use the bash shell. Remember guys. And quickly refer to the material. Here based on the location you want, you can select those region. How many regions we have? We have lot of regions which are available in the Azure. Here copy this command. Simply what you will do, you are going to create here, paste here in notepad. AZ stands for Azure group create hyphen name. What is the name? Here I am going to make it as RG1, and location is Japan East. If you want to change the location, you can. It is purely based on your requirement. Here I am going to use the same Japan East only. Copy. Here once the Cloud Shell has been opened, yes, I am going to execute the script here. Right now I am in which shell? Bash shell. Here if you see the option, switch to PowerShell. Means you are not in the PowerShell. Right now you are in the bash shell. Remember this guys. And Japan East. So whenever I had executed the command here, it is going to create the resource group with the name RG1 in Japan East region. So if you want to confirm the gem, just go to resource group. Here are you able to see the RG1? Yes, just now I had created. Fine. I have the prerequisite there. Means the resource group is already created. What is my requirement? I need to create one Docker instance or Azure Container Instance in order to host my web application. So the command to create is this one. Simply copy this command and here go to the notepad, paste here. Here generally guys, whenever you want to execute any kind of command in your real-time environment as well, first of all you have some kind of cheat sheets are available. So what you need to do, you just need to make some kind of customization to the commands. So blindly you are not supposed to execute the command. So you need to understand why you are going to execute the command. What will happen when you execute the command? Then only by confirming you need to execute on the real-time environment. First of all, here what I am going to do, AZ container create means by using this command it is going to create the container. The resource group name is, here I am going to mention the resource group name is, otherwise just mention. Here it is asking you your resource group name. Simply mention your resource group name RG1 and set your container name. Here hyphen name is container name. What is your container name? Here I am going to set container name as container1 and image. Here this is the path. From this path it is going to get the image. The same image will be deployed over the container1 which is going to be created soon. Okay. Here if you have the DNS name which is available with you, you can configure your DNS name as well. Because of in real-time environments the companies have the DNS names. Here right now I have passed some kind of dummy name like Suneel Cloud IT Tech. Fine. The port number which I am going to open for this container is port number 80. I am going to use the OS type as Linux. I am going to use the memory 1.5 GB and CPU is 1 core. If you want to use the high memory, then you can mention the memory as per your requirement. Accordingly, this resource will be created over the targeted region. Simply copy this entire command, Control C, go to the Cloud Shell, paste here. So if you go to the RG1, right now there is no resources are available. So if I execute the command here, what will happen? It is going to create the Azure Container Instance. The name of the container is container1 and it is going to deploy the image, the Microsoft default image, the ACI hello world, and the DNS name is Suneel Cloud IT Tech, and the port numbers which has been opened for the container is port number 80 and the OS type is Linux and it is going to consume 1.5 GB of memory and CPU is 1 core. So this is the specs of the Azure Container Instance which I am going to create. So it is not going to take too much time. Within 2 to 3 minutes, it is going to create the Azure Container Instance on your resource group name RG1. Yes, just refresh it, reload, then you can be able to see the Azure Container Instance. Yes, the container one has been created or not? Yes, it is a container instance. The name of the container is container1. Go to container1. Here check whether it is running or not. Yes, it is running and the OS type is Linux. And how many containers I have right now? Right now I have only one container. And at the same time, the DNS name which I had configured, here it is going to replicate here. Suneel Cloud IT Tech. Suppose if you want to check the same, whether the container is running successfully fine or not, simply you need to copy the IP address, paste here. Then you will get some kind of default page. Maybe it will take some time to get it reflected, but surely you will be able to get the default page which has been provided by the Microsoft image. Okay, this is the scenario one. Here what we had done, through command line interface we had created each and everything which are required to create the Azure Container Instance. Okay, here wait for some time until the Docker Container Instance get provisioned, and copy the IP address and paste in the browser. You can be able to view your application. Suppose right now I am using default image. Suppose in your environment, if you have any customized image which is available with you, you can mention that image. That particular image which you had mentioned will be deployed on top of the Azure Container Instance. Image is your wish. Whatever the image you have, you can deploy. But right now, as I don't have some kind of customized image available with me, so that's why I'm going to use the default image which has been provided by the Microsoft Azure. So reload. It is going to take some time, but sure it will be loaded. And if I want to make, I'm going to open the new Indico tab. Just a moment, wait for, because of as it has been created. Yes, continue site. Yes, welcome to Azure Container Instance. This is the default page which has been provided by the Azure along with the image. If this page appears, means your container is successfully running on the Azure. Okay, fine. The demo one has been succeeded. Then we will have a look on the another scenarios. So right now I had done each and everything through the CLI. If I want to do the same over the graphical user interface, let me check how I can be able to do that. So here go to RG1, otherwise go to container instance. If you are not able to search here, just by using the universal search bar, just type container instance, then this service will comes to picture. Right now I have one container. The name of the container is container1. Here I am going to create one more container. Here I am going to use the same RC group, that is RG1, and the name of the container is container2, and here I am going to select the region Japan East only, available just none, SKU standard only. Here I am going to image other registry. Suppose you have three options are there. Image source, from where you are going to pull the image. Like if you want to go with the quick images, it has been provided by the default images which has been provided by Azure. Suppose if you have your images in the Azure Container Registry, then you can select the second option. Here container registry is nothing but in order to save your images. Here it is just like a image management tool, like how we are going to save your code in the GitHub. In the similar way, you are going to save the images which has been generated in the Azure Container Registry. Means we need some kind of storage space in order to save the images. That is the place we can call as Azure Container Registry. Otherwise, in market we have another third party registries also there, like one is Docker Hub. Docker Hub is also one kind of registry where we can be able to save our images. Here not only Docker, we have multiple third party registries are there, so you can make them as well as your image repository. Fine. Suppose if you select the other registry, you need to select the image type is public or private, and here you need to mention the image path. Here right now I don't have any kind of such customized image or any other registry. So what I will do, I am going to take the default image which has been provided by the Microsoft. Okay, what I will do, mcr hello world. Okay, let me check whether it will work out or not. And here I am going to mention the path. Fine. So here I am going to set the OS type as Linux only, size 1 virtual CPU, and 1.5 GB is only. Coming to the networking, I am going to make the networking type as public only. Monitoring, if you want to monitoring, you can enable, otherwise you can disable it. Advanced, here restart policy, there are some kind of restart policies as there, like on failure it is going to restart. Just leave as it is default. So right now there is no such kind of things are required, as it is a lab purpose. Just click on tags, review plus create. What will happen, it is going to validate the settings which you had made. Just click on create. It is going to create the container Okay, soon the container will be created. And this is the second demo. Through graphical user interface, how we are going to create the Azure Container Instance. In the similar way, I am going to show to you some other thing, guys. So the third scenario as well, by using the quick images. Here, go to home. Here I am going to create one more container instance. The name is container 3. Here I am going to select the same Japanese only, availability zones none, SKU standard. Here instead of selecting the other registry, I am going to select the quick images. Means it has been provided by the Azure only. So later if you have any customized image which is available with you, then you can be able to deploy on top of the container. But right now it is going to get the image from the quick start images, means default images which has been provided by the Azure. So fine, just review plus. Otherwise if you want to create in the another region, like in which region you want, Central India. Here instead of creating this on the Japanese, I am going to create in the Central India. Okay, container 3. This name is container 3. Okay, fine. The networking same public enable. If you want enable, enable. Otherwise, you can disable. Next, next, next. Review plus create. Validation has been successfully passed. Just click on create. It is going to create the container 3 with the quick start images. In the meanwhile, what we need to check is container 2 has been created or not. Yes. Right now the container 2 has been successfully created and it is in the running state. Right now you are in the container 2 and it is running state. So copy this, go to here, type here, check whether you will get some kind of default page or not. So go to the Indigo tab. From here you can check. Yes. Is it working or not? Yes, it is working. Means the container 2 is also working. And here, yes. So here the further thing which is pending is the container 3. So here go to the resource container 3. Here we had created the container 3 with the quick start images. Here it is also in the running state only. And here in which region I had created Central India. The first two containers I had created in the Japanese, but this container, the name of the container is container 3, I had created in the Central India region. Just go to the Indigo browser, paste here. Just check whether it is showing or not. Yes, obviously it is showing. Welcome to Azure Container Instance. Means here we have tested three ways. Through CLI we had deployed, through graphical user interface we had deployed, by using Azure Quick Start images also we had deployed. So if you have customized image which is available with you, you can deploy on top of where the Azure Container Instance, then it will be accessible to the public. In this way we can be able to host our application on the Azure Container Instance. Here one more scenario is, guys, through Azure Container Registry, how we can be able to deploy the image on top of Azure Container Instance. This scenario we are going to discuss in the next session. Okay guys, hope you guys understood the session. Thank you so much guys for your support, and if you have any queries, just please put your comment on the comment section. Accordingly, whenever I am going to free, I am going to revert to your questions. Thank you so much guys for your support, and I will meet up you in the next session with a new topic. Guys, one more thing before closing the session, do not forget to delete the resources which you had created. Once you had completed the lab, first the thing you need to do is delete the resource. Otherwise, you will be charged more and more. Okay, guys, I will meet up you in the next session with a new topic. Until signing off, thank you. Bye bye.